A traffic stop.
You have your lights on you? All right, just give me a moment, all right?
With a major twist.
I think he just put some more money between his legs.
And a cop becomes a suspect.
This is your money?
Yes, I heard him crumble it up. All that's been recorded, right?
Plus, till death do us part. A new marriage ends in murder after just 8 days.
He was madly in love with her.
The accused moves mountains to cover her tracks. See what turned a dream wedding into a nightmare. And an elderly man goes missing. His car found on the freeway, his family desperate. Cops shout his name in the woods. Out of nowhere, a faint cry for help. The amazing rescue caught on camera.
Can you hear me? We need to get you out of the water, get you warmed up.
Your daily source for true crime starts right now. Thanks for joining us. We begin in North Carolina, where police body cams were rolling when a traffic stop went sideways and a cop ended up in cuffs. What started as a routine traffic stop for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department
You have your lights on you? All right, just give me a moment, all right?
turned into an arrest over an outstanding weapons charge.
We have a warrant out for your arrest. A warrant for what?
I'm going to show it to you in a moment, okay?
But things would turn far from routine after an officer's actions would end with a veteran cop posing for a mugshot. It's all captured on police body cams after Moncre Moon is arrested while driving his Mercedes SUV. You can see a large amount of $100 bills in his pocket, money he says he just took out of the bank to give to his girlfriend to pay the bills.
All right, I'm going to count your money in front of you, okay?
But after he's taken back to the station, Moncre becomes suspicious of the man who drove him there, Officer Henry Chapman.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Telling the female officer counting the money to search Officer Chapman because Moncre believes he helped himself to a stack of cash.
Can you look in between his legs pretty quick? I think he just put some more money between his legs.
How much money did you have on you? I'm asking.
I haven't touched it. Can you just check in between his
Sir,
legs?
listen to me.
He's moving and everything. Look, he's moving. Sir, I heard rubber band pop. He told me, oh, I had to. Look, and he's moving. He's moving between his legs.
And as other officers arrive,
Look at his hand. He's tucking money. He's tucking money right in his right hand.
he demands that Officer Chapman be searched.
Look at me. If someone takes your money, it will be a big problem, all right? No one's going to take your money. I can see his hand. Are you saying that there's more money in here?
What I'm saying is he just touched mine. I seen him put it in between his legs. I heard my rubber band. I've been nothing but cooperative with you guys.
Officer Chapman gets out of the patrol car and tries to prove he didn't take any of Moncre's money.
I'm going to show you right here. Look at me.
But as another officer opens Chapman's driver's side door,
Do you see anything?
No, yeah, I'm not even going to touch it. It's blue hundreds right here. It's all the blue hundreds are right there behind that receipt. Thank you. All that's my money. He didn't have that.
This is your money?
Yes, I heard him crumble it up. Thank you. Thank you. All that's been recorded, right? That's my money.
$900 is tucked inside the driver's side door, but Officer Chapman denies he had anything to do with how it got there.
Sir, you've been watching me the whole time.
I seen you take it. I seen you crumble it up.
Sir, that is not me.
If I'm right, it's going to be around $1,000.
Officer Chapman is taken to a room in the station and his gun is removed. Then the cop, who is so adamant that he had nothing to do with stealing Moon's money, changes his tune.
That's what I said. I'm sorry.
And now it's Officer Chapman who's shackled in an interrogation room. After an internal investigation, he is charged with embezzlement and will now serve 2 years probation for taking Moncre Moon's money. Officer Chapman took an Alford plea, which means he gets to maintain his innocence while accepting the judge's punishment. He'll now serve a minimum of 2 years probation and complete a cognitive behavioral intervention course. I wanted to get more insight into cases like this, and I sat down with Luis Bolaños, a former homicide investigator and a victim's advocate. Luis, you have investigated a lot of police misconduct. How common is what we just saw?
Yes, ma'am, that's true. Unfortunately, it is very common. But this case has a little twist to it because I love to see this. The officers who were challenged with this allegation acted so quickly.
Pretty impressive, right?
Very impressive.
Because at first you're thinking, like, who's going to believe him?
Right. And yeah, let's be fair. There are many false allegations out there, especially when it comes to money missing. So they did the right thing.
So you, as a former officer who investigated other dirty cops, how does this fit into the kind of investigations that you've done?
Well, just hearing this happen, that this, and of course it's going to happen, and continue to happen until there's some way of quelling officers from making this really stupid decision.
Why do you think that ex-Officer Chapman may have done this before?
I think it's very likely he did this type of thing before. The need to steal money, I don't think this is the first time. Look, he's been on for 15 years. He's been an officer for quite a while.
Now a case of marriage and murder. You know the vows, to love and to honor until death do us part. Well, most married couples never imagine that they will be separated just days later. One Montana couple faced that horrible outcome, and the death led homicide investigators to a stunning conclusion. They vowed to love and cherish each other for the rest of their lives. But no one imagined Cody Johnson and his bride, Jordan Graham, would part so soon. Cody mysteriously vanished just 8 days after the wedding.
I was just shocked. I didn't know what happened.
And we spent a lot of time trying to figure out where he was.
At first, police treat it as a missing persons case.
She says, "Look, I got this email and Cody's dead."
But soon police suspect Cody had been murdered, perhaps before he and his bride even consummated their marriage.
I don't even think they had sex on the night of their wedding.
Kalispell, Montana, a country town known as the gateway to the majestic Glacier National Park in the heart of the Rocky Mountains. This beautiful backdrop was the setting of an ugly crime, ending the love story of Cody Johnson and Jordan Graham, who met at a church lunch and seemed like a match made in heaven.
She was a good girl.
And Cody was a good guy.
He was so funny, very caring, kind-hearted.
Cody told his mom right from the beginning he wanted to make Jordan his wife one day.
He was madly in love with her.
Cody was 24 and Jordan 21 when they met, and they shared the same dream of raising a family.
Cody was really looking forward to getting married. He loved children and couldn't wait to have his own, and he thought Jordan was the one for him.
Jordan's best friend Hannah Owens says she had a good heart and a way with kids.
She watched my son. I trusted her with my son. They bonded.
She got Cody into going to church with her, which she never did before. We all thought that those were good things.
But others worried that the relationship was a little one-sided.
He was madly in love with her. She, on the other hand, was distant towards him. They would go on dates and she would bring company. I never seen them hold hands. I never seen them kiss.
So many of their friends were surprised when, after dating for a little more than a year, Cody proposed to Jordan and she accepted.
I didn't think that she would say yes.
When the big day finally arrived, Jordan's friends and guests were shocked by what really happened behind the joyous facade of these wedding photos.
She was kind of like shaking her head, like just bawling, like hysterically down the aisle. And when she got up there, she didn't look at him in the eyes.
And the morning after her wedding night with Cody, Jordan is beyond reluctant. She's despondent and regretful, writing in a text exchange with Matron of Honor Kimberly Martinez.
I don't know if all this was the right thing to do. So much happened last night. I just don't know.
Last night at the wedding or last night at the room?
Being married and after the wedding.
What happened after?
I'd rather talk about what happened, not text about it.
She said that it was just a miserable time, that they just really didn't enjoy it, and she just didn't seem very happy.
The texts continue from Jordan for a week after the wedding, each one sounding more morose and desperate.
Using the "my period started" spiel tonight. I freaking hope it works. because if I'm forced to do something, I'm going to freak out.
She said that they hadn't, that she didn't want to.
8 days after the wedding, their brand new marital problems were suddenly over when Cody mysteriously goes missing.
I was just shocked.
After Cody Johnson had been missing for nearly 48 hours, Jordan's friends and family gather at Jordan's house trying to find clues.
You know, trying to look on his Facebook page to see if he had posted anything, or, you know, trying to see if she had, you know, his bank account information. Maybe we could look up and see if he used his debit card or something.
But strangely, Jordan seems so uncomfortable.
I was confused. You know, I thought she would be legitimately wanting to find her husband and know what happened to him.
Instead, she's telling conflicting stories about their last day together to friends and police, and Jordan is under growing suspicion in Cody's disappearance.
She had a story to tell. Her story wasn't adding up.
Then she gets a stunning email from a stranger calling himself Tony the Carman.
And she says, "Look, I got this email and Cody's dead."
The mysterious Tony tells her Cody accidentally fell off a cliff in Glacier National Park while hiking with his friends from out of state. Tony's email reads in part, "Hello, Jordan. My name is Tony. There is no bother looking for Cody anymore. He's gone."
And I'm like freaking out, like, what are you talking about? She wasn't crying at all. She was just showing me this email and I start shaking.
The email that she provided to us stated that these unknowns that he had taken off with, as well as this Tony person, had seen him fall from a cliff or at the very least disappear, and that she was given explicit instructions to tell the police to call off the search. There was no more need to search for him.
4 days after Cody's disappearance and armed with the information in that email, Jordan decides to go to Glacier National Park to look for him with her own search party, which includes Hannah, other friends, and family members.
The drive up there was her waving her hand out the window, her wearing his sunglasses, acting like nothing happened, dancing, laughing.
When they arrive, Jordan's search party puts up missing posters and looks for the possible steep places, including a 300-foot drop from which Cody might have fallen.
We stand there, and she's like, "I think he's down there." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Why would he ever be going down there? Why would anybody do that? This wall is here for a reason."
Jordan jumps the wall and makes her way to a rock landing peering at the bottom of the ravine. She quickly spots a body lying at the bottom.
Detective Corey Clark and Kalispell PD Captain Scott Warnell make the long journey down to the bottom of the ravine. And sure enough, Cody's body is exactly where Jordan said it was.
Just his body floating in the water there, and in a place that was so remote, I don't think there probably had humans had ever been there.
Friends and family are devastated when they get the tragic news about Cody, seen here blowing out the candles at one of his last birthday parties.
Cody Johnson is a kind, loving, wonderful young man that I miss a lot.
If guests were stunned by how sad and disturbed Jordan Graham looked at her wedding to Cody Johnson, they are now in disbelief at how carefree and unmoved she is at his funeral just 16 days later.
Everybody was looking at her like, "You did this." Everybody knew.
Including the cops who had quietly gathered enough damning evidence to arrest Jordan for the murder of her new husband, and Jordan didn't have a clue.
She thought everything was going to be okay. She didn't think that she was going to get in trouble.
Police had also uncovered evidence that Jordan was with Cody at Glacier National Park the night he died. The FBI takes Jordan into custody at her home soon after Cody's funeral. Then she admits in this audio-recorded confession she wasn't happy with her 8-day marriage.
Kind of was feeling, should have we waited a little bit longer and then got married? I wasn't feeling, I guess, on cloud nine.
Jordan admits she and Cody argued at home the night of his death.
And it was decided they would go to Glacier National Park.
I didn't want to do that show because I was afraid he was going to fall, and he said I could do this with a blindfold on, and he said I could just put it on, take a step, and I wouldn't even fall. But it kept going through my head that, you know, you are going to fall or something, and then we were arguing some more. And he went to grab my arm or my jacket, and I said, no, I'm going to defend myself. So I kind of let go and I pushed, and he went over.
Blindfolded, plummeting 300 feet to his death. Jordan denies in her confession that Cody's murder was premeditated.
There was no planning on your part to kill Cody?
No.
Okay. You hadn't planned that until this whole thing just kind of happened in the heat of the emotion and the passion of that situation.
Jordan is charged with first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and making misleading statements. Jordan is sentenced to 30 years in federal prison with no chance of parole.
If she didn't love him, why did she get married? Why did she say yes to the proposal? That's still the question in my mind to this day, is why.
Because the murder was committed in a national park, it is a federal crime. Jordan has appealed her conviction, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, but they denied hearing the case. So she will remain in a federal prison until 2044 without the possibility of parole. If you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 800-799-7233, or by texting START to 88788.